Okay, and we're live. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to More Coin Bureau. As you can see, it's a little bit different today. It's not NFA live today. We should probably be back with NFA next week, but Ben is away this week. So instead, we've got a little bit of a little something different for you guys. As you can see, I'm joined as ever by Nick from
Hey
his
guys, how you
from
doing?
Skyrise. How are you doing,
Good
Nick?
to see you guys. I'm good, man. I'm good.
Fantastic. Good to see you, sir. And Nick and I are joined by Lewis Raskin. Now, for those of you who aren't familiar with Lewis, well, I'm going to let Lewis introduce himself. But we've been following his work for a while now. He is a fantastic analyst and commentator on the crypto space. So Lewis, can I just throw you in at the deep end and ask you just to say, give the viewers a little bit of a little bit of biography?
Yeah, sure. Thanks. First off, happy to be here. Appreciate it. And so my name's Lewis Raskin. I joined crypto back in 2017. And when the 2018 bear market came, I took a beating like everybody else back then. But I was really, really into just reading about everything finance and technology that I could get my hands on. And I realized that back in the 1999, 2000, there was the big internet bubble. And everyone back in 2018 was calling crypto a big bubble. And I was like, there's so many parallels here between what happened in 1999 and 2000 with the internet and what's happening with crypto and blockchain technology. So I was thinking to myself, or I came to the conclusion that this is not a bubble. This is here to stay. And there will be, a few blockchain companies, cryptocurrencies that do just keep on going the same way how, Apple and Microsoft and Amazon, they kept on going and exploded, and they're the biggest things in the world, right? So that was my thought process back in 2018. And I said, I'm going to literally give everything I have to crypto, to this space. I'm going to stop everything that I'm doing, which at the time was a health and wellness business. It was actually, I was a functional health practitioner, and I, worked for a long time to get that, with school and everything. And I realized, I said, this is an opportunity that I really don't want to miss. So I'm going to give myself 2 years to give it everything I have. And then if it's, if it doesn't work out, I'll go back to my health and wellness stuff. And so that was 2018. 2019, slow year. Nothing was happening. It was really horrible. But I kept on learning about the technology, and I got super into trading, because one of the things that I realized was that while most people were losing money when the market crashes, there were a few people who were making money. And I was like, how are they making this money when everything's going down? So I realized, they were shorting the market. They were, basically able to capitalize on the market going down and make money that way. So I said, I got to learn about this trading stuff, because that happens a lot. So I dedicated everything I had to learning about trading in all of 2018, all of 2019. And then in 2020, it was getting to be like the end of that 2-year period. And I said, maybe 6 more months. Give me 6 more months of this. So I spent like another few more months. And of course, then November, or I guess October, November, December 2020 started coming, and things started going crazy. And you started seeing things like Doge pop off, and a lot of other coins start, getting a lot of mind share with the general population. And also, there was Elon Musk was talking about, Dogecoin. And then there was the short squeeze of AMC and GameStop. And so everyone was sort of getting into this trading, crypto stocks, all of that stuff back then. And it started to blow up. And luckily for me, I made a couple good plays back then, and was able to move out of my parents' house and move to Miami and get the penthouse in Miami and do all that stuff. I never bought a Lambo though. Probably should have, but I don't know. I've just never been into that so much. But yeah, I was able to go to Miami. It was the crypto capital of basically America back then, and it was really, really good. Luckily, in 2021, in November, I actually did manage to call and sell the top of the market back when Bitcoin was like $50,000-$60,000. And I was making a lot of content at that time. And I was basically, I mean, honestly, I don't really know anyone else. There might have been a few other people that were telling people like, hey, this is really bad. Like the market's looking really bad at the time. But because I dedicated so much time to technical analysis and learning how to read the charts in 2018 and 2019 and 2020, when 2021 came around and the top came in November, I was looking at it and I was like, this looks so familiar. This is like really, really similar to what I've seen, to stuff that I've seen in the past, when I was studying it. So I started selling, and I was making a lot of videos saying like, hey, look, it looks really bad, like sell everything. And that, after the market tanked in 2020, in December and then January 2022 and all of 2022 really, up until November, that actually got me a lot of notoriety, I guess, and a lot of people just started reaching out to me and being like, hey, can you trade for me? Can you manage my capital? Can you do XYZ, right? And luckily I was able to become a lead analyst at a really big corporate, like a 7-8 figure corporation that was a mining facility. And I was able to do some personal trading for people and stuff. So it's been like really good in that regard. And then I guess 2022, although obviously I'm not saying like everything is peaches and roses, 2022 was definitely still a tough year. I definitely didn't make, I don't think I really made that much of anything in 2022 because everything, was going down. And at that point, you sort of just got to be like, okay, I'm going to wait until things are easier, because when things are easy in crypto, it's really easy. But when things are hard, you could get your portfolio slashed real quick. So yeah, I did that. And then in 2022, it was sort of same old. But then I actually got hacked in a late 2022, right before FTX collapsed. So before FTX collapsed, maybe a month before it collapsed, one of my accounts got hacked. And this was from a software that I was using to put on advanced trades. And it ended up being a blessing in disguise, because I thought that it was FTX, because I had all of my money on FTX and everything on FTX, all of my money, all of my clients' capital, everything, right? It was on FTX because that's where I was trading. It was the best thing, endorsed by Tom Brady. And so I thought when I got hacked that it was FTX. So I took all of like the rest of what I had on there from my capital out, and I took all my clients and I told everyone there, like, get out of FTX, get out of FTX. It's so bad. This was like a month before it collapsed, right? And they withdrew withdrawals. So then when that happened, I looked like I was like, oh my God, like everyone was like, oh, you saved me so much money. Like, how do you know? How do you know? And I was like, well, I got hacked by this other company. I thought it was FTX, and it was, so it ended up, silver lining right there. And luckily, luckily after that, I did end up making, like the money I lost back in late 2024, or I guess early 2024, when there was that big meme coin craze in the first few months. That I did really, really well in that. And then even this year, just a couple months ago, I also got lucky and was able to get into something. It was called KTA, and Kita, it did like 100x. So I get lucky here and there, but I am chronically online, just nonstop on crypto Twitter, nonstop in Discord groups, nonstop, just like, it's all I do. I don't leave my house. I don't like do anything outside of this. So yeah, that's what happens a lot.
One of us.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, that's basically what happened. And 2022, or I guess not 22, maybe, yeah, late 2022 or early 2023, I ended up moving and traveling the world. So I went to Colombia, I went to the Philippines, Bali, and Thailand and then Vietnam, and now I'm back in Thailand, and it's been a really awesome experience, traveling the world, because I realized, why am I spending all of this money in Miami when I could spend like a fraction of it, in anywhere else and live so much better. So yeah, that's what I've been doing for the last 2 years now, just traveling and working from my laptop, trading, and just giving market updates and my thoughts on the market.
Yeah.
Living
Wow.
the crypto dream, eh? Wow.
Yeah. You managed to make
living the life. I didn't want to
Wow.
say it, but living the dream, really.
You managed to make it sound both amazing and also exhausting at the same time.
And terrifying at the same time. It's like a roller coaster of emotion, bro. Wow.
It's been a hectic journey, but
man.
Yeah. Well, Lewis, it's great to have you. It's great to have you with us today. We're excited to get your sort of thoughts on the market, and what you're seeing in some of the charts. And Nick and I did one of these sort of more informal streams 2 or 3 weeks ago now, and it was really good fun. So it's just a sort of a fairly informal chat about what we're seeing at the moment. Obviously, this is kind of an interesting time in the markets. I think we may just be hitting peak uncertainty. So we're just going to have a bit of a round the houses sort of chat about everything that we're seeing at the moment, or some of the things that we're seeing at the moment. People watching, if you guys have any questions for Lewis or for Nick, or even myself, God forbid, then put them in the comments, and we will try and answer at least a few of them as we go along. Let's start. I just want to get both of you guys your thoughts on kind of what we're seeing at the moment. Bitcoin is holding around that sort of 104, 105k level. Obviously, all the uncertainty around what's happening in the Middle East seems to be weighing on the market. Nick, is that what you're seeing? What's your sort of outlook at the moment?
Yeah, obviously there is that uncertainty, and I think Bitcoin's still in that sweet spot where you don't really know if it's a risk-on asset or a safe haven asset. It's been tracing equities over the past 2 weeks, and I am though impressed that it's managed to hold above 100k, given that what is going on, right? It's been a strong level, a strong zone of support. More specifically, it's held above the 50-day moving average as well, which shows some strength there. Although, in terms of like why it's been held like this, I think it's because of whale buying. We've seen the likes of Saylor, like last week he bought 10,000 Bitcoin. This week, I'm sure they're buying more, and it's not just him. Obviously, it's all these Bitcoin corporate strategy companies that are involved in this, and then more whale accumulation. So that's why it's still maintaining the price. There are buyers, but there are also sellers. On-chain analysis shows that there's been a distribution from older long-term holders. And to be honest, if I've been holding Bitcoin for 10 years and you've sitting on a 5 to 6x and massive stack of BTC, it could be an opportunity to take right now. And then, of course, there's also, in terms of the reason we're not seeing any further upward price action apart from just the uncertainty around the Middle East, it's the FOMC yesterday. We saw that rates came in. There was no movement in rates. And indeed, the expectations for the end of the year are probably only in the median case 25 basis point cuts. And even more so than that, the more Fed officials now see 7 Fed officials out of a total of 19 see that we could potentially see no rate cuts by the end of the year. So that is slightly more on the hawkish side. But yeah, I think that's still managing to hold above 100k is a good sign. And I come back to the point I made in the past few streams, is that the longer that Bitcoin remains above 100k, the more it gets entrenched in people's minds, especially from the perspective of retail, that this is a level of a good value level to be buying, and an opportunity now for the older whales to consolidate, to distribute out the coins, newer buyers to come in on the institutional side, for us to go through this range, and then we could potentially continue our upward trend. So yeah, I think that's where we're at right now on Bitcoin, at least.
Okay, Lewis, is that what you're seeing as well?
Yeah, and one thing that I wanted to share in this stream, it goes right along with, you know, the big institutions buying, is the ETF data, because that is something that I look at all of the time, because it is crucial in analysis of Bitcoin at this point to see what it is, you know, what the ETF is doing and who's buying and all of that. And so I don't know, if you want, I could share the ETF screen real quick.
I've actually got it here.
You got
Is this?
Yeah.
Is it? Yeah. So this is for the spot Bitcoin ETFs.
Yeah. So look at the like inflows that are coming in, especially from the BlackRock, like, because that is like very, very positive. You know, that's a lot. So what I think, what goes through my mind is, okay, who's buying, who's selling, and like what side do you want to be on? So if you see all of these institutions, and like, for instance, BlackRock, like the most powerful company organization in the universe, right? If they're buying, I probably want to be more on what they're doing, you know, more aligned with that. And I'm not sure if Farside has this, but I do know that CoinGlass has the data for ETH as well. I'll drop it. I'll drop the link in the.
And it is, we've got it on Farside as well, right?
Oh, cool.
But I think ETH ETFs are here. Yeah.
Yeah. So the other thing that I noticed was the ETH ETFs have been crazy, have had crazy inflows also. So I'm thinking that maybe something's finally going to be starting with ETH, and if they're accumulating, it's like, what do they know? You know, because people are building on ETH. It is very powerful. And I talked to someone the other day who was very, very excited about the potential of stable coins, and like the widespread use of stable coins, and the trillions of dollars that can be used for stable coins, such as in things like money markets, for example, and obviously like real estate and other things like that, and tokenizing stocks and all of this, right? So this guy, he actually works for, he's the CIO of one of the largest companies, funds that works with ETFs, and they have their own ETFs, and they have ETFs in multiple countries. I think they were the first one in Brazil to have a Bitcoin ETF as well. And they talk to institutions all the time, you know, like very, very smart people, or I guess very, very rich people, people that have a lot of money that actually like move markets, you know, like the big institutions. And he was telling me that they are excited for Ethereum, and that they're excited for DeFi. But also something that got me excited was that he was saying that a lot of these guys don't even realize the difference between Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies. Like the ones who do are very excited about DeFi and Ethereum and bringing in stable coins and things that are going to be built out in the future. But also a big portion of them are, I don't want to say clueless, but they don't have the same knowledge that a lot of us do, and that a lot of people who are really into crypto have. And so the conclusion that I got from that conversation with him was that we're actually still early. Like, believe it or not, like I actually got very excited in that we are literally still early with what is coming. So yeah, that's my analysis. I do think that we are still early, and we have a lot of headwind, a lot of movement still above. And the Bitcoin chart, you know, shows that, and the 4-year cycle chart still has some room to go, a few more months. So
yeah. I think I definitely agree with you, Lewis, especially on the point regarding, kind of these big institutional players and, people who are sort of maybe keeping an eye on the market, on the crypto market, maybe sort of getting a little bit crypto curious. But yeah, I think it's one of these things that is easy to forget. Like, we're in this 24/7, so we're really attuned to all the nuances, all the differences between all the, the thousands of different cryptos and which one does what, and which ones are good and which ones are bad, and which one, there's stories behind so many of them. But yeah, I think the majority of people will just be looking at these things going, I don't know what any of these are. Like, I've heard of Bitcoin, I've heard of Ethereum, and maybe XRP. What are all these other ones? I don't know. And I think that's something we shouldn't really discount, because like when, and again, I think, well, this ties into something else that I wanted to bring up with you guys, and that was the fact that the Genius Act, because Lewis, you mentioned stablecoin legislation, and obviously this is something that these big institutions are waiting for. The Genius Act passed the Senate yesterday or the day before, but fairly comfortably as well. So is on its way to the House now. And in fact, I'm going to try and find it whilst one of you guys is talking. But in fact, I think Trump was sort of saying just yesterday, is like, get a move on, saying to the House, like, vote this thing through, get it on my desk. And obviously, that's because he has, shall we say, vested interests in the Genius Act passing. But it really does, it really is like a big sort of thing coming towards us, isn't it, in terms of what's ahead and what presumably the Genius Act passing will unlock for the whole space.
Yeah, I mean, take a look at what happened to Circle's. Did you see what happened to Circle's share price post the vote at the Senate?
Yeah,
I think Circle's
yeah.
share price, it just.
In fact, I've got something about it here.
Yeah, I mean, so obviously it's bullish for those kinds of for Circle specifically. I think, unfortunately, to the detriment of Tether in the US, although Tether doesn't really care too much about the US market. Most of their market is offshore. But it definitely does cement stablecoins in the traditional financial system, especially in the US. And it's now going to allow banks to potentially get involved. Now, depending on how you view that, I mean, we know JP Morgan apparently was recently meeting with the SEC on tokenizing particular assets, and Bank of America and JP Morgan, a bunch of consortia, are getting ready to potentially issue a joint stablecoin between the banks, which could potentially be a threat to the likes of Circle. But yeah, now we have solid stablecoin well, not now, it's got to first be signed into place, but when it comes, we'll have solid stablecoin regulations with some guiding principles. Yeah, it's amazing to see. Now, I guess the next thing is when are we going to get the Clarity Act, but that's a bit more contentious. But yeah, it's a big moment for the crypto space for sure.
Yeah. And well, yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? Because like the House has its own stablecoin act. So the Genius Act is the one that's originated in the Senate and gone to the House. And then the House has the Stable Act, which is presumably then going to go to the Senate, I think, if I've got that right. So there is, I guess maybe that's a potential stumbling block in all this. Because what was interesting about the Genius Act passing the Senate was that quite a few Democrats supported it. So it was, you can say that it had bipartisan support. But also, I think there weren't really any attempts to sort of, put stuff in there, change much of the wording of the bill, which I think was very interesting as well. Whether or not that it's going to butt up against the Stable Act, because obviously these things together are the Stable Genius Act, which is extraordinary. So it remains to be seen whether that's going to have any effect. But yeah, I mean, we're getting really close to having this legislation that the industry has wanted for literally almost a decade.
Yeah, it goes to show it's like just another reason why we still are early, because we finally have all of those roadblocks that were just constantly barraging us in 2022 and 2023. Like, they're gone now. And now everything new that's being put into place, at least in the US and everywhere else in the world, really, to be honest, is pro crypto. Like, we're getting all of this pro crypto stuff, and it takes a while. It takes a long time for laws to be passed and for, you know, the people to really put their like get the power and the bills, you know, passed so that things could be put into place and companies to be built up and organizations to be created and all of that stuff, you know. But we're moving in the direction that we've always been wanting to be moving into.
Yeah. And it's interesting. I was just this afternoon was making a video about crypto adoption in India and Pakistan, because obviously Pakistan came out. You might remember the head of the Pakistan Crypto Council was speaking at Bitcoin Las Vegas last month, and said that announced that Pakistan has its own is starting its own Bitcoin strategic reserve. They're going to be mining Bitcoin with excess electricity as well. You know, they've gone all in. Not long ago, I think it was Pakistan's finance minister said, I think this was in 2021 or 2022, literally said, crypto will never be legal in this country. It'll never be legal. And that was because of things that stipulations by the Financial Action Task Force. And now it's changed so much. You know, Pakistan has literally put its foot on the accelerator. And kind of one of the things I was speculating on in this video is obviously Pakistan and India are historic rivals. You know, I kind of think that India is going to look at this and be like, are we going to let Pakistan become the
sideline? Don't talk to me about Kashmir. You sideline in your Bitcoin purchases.
But yeah, but I mean, seriously, like, you know, and that would be amazing because crypto in India, like, Indians are crazy about it. It's got one of the highest rates of adoption in the world. It's got the second largest open source developer pool after the US. And it's the world's most populous country. So it overtook China last year, I think. So we're potentially talking now, and Pakistan is a big country in terms of population as well. But we're talking about these new markets essentially coming, you know, opening up to crypto, adopting crypto, drafting legislation. And I guess it kind of all stems from what's been happening in the States, you know, where the States goes now that the States has flipped a complete 180 on crypto, because we all remember the last 4 years under Biden. But yeah, it seems to be like dominoes are really starting to fall across the world now.
Yeah, I think it's really interesting as well because so I think that advisor, if I recall, I think his name is Bilal or something. So he also, if I'm not mistaken, they have also connections to the team from World Liberty Finance, which is obviously Trump's DeFi project. So there's obviously Trump adjacent connections there. And I know that Trump and Modi have a very good relationship as well. So it's not too far removed to think that, yeah, if India thinks, well, okay, if we don't want, you know, Pakistan to best us in the crypto scene, they may, you know, implement similar kind of legislation. I think in India's case, the main concern, if I'm not mistaken, is around, you know, capital controls and that kind of stuff. But you're right, in terms of the adoption in India, especially on a peer-to-peer trading, it's massive, massive.
Yeah, they're crazy about it. And I mean, we have quite a few Indians working for us, like in various capacities throughout Coin Bureau organization. But it's, you know, they're great, and it's like this whole country of, like, with this really big sort of pool of kind of talented, very educated young people who really understand crypto. So again, like, it's so much more than just what's happening in the US. But yeah, it's exciting times. But mind you, Mickey in the comments makes a good point. You know, so much positive news, yet price is stuck. Who's selling BTC at this price /news? And I mean, that's just talking about Bitcoin.
It's going to say, look at the altcoin chart, bro. It's gone. It's losing the will to live, man. That others chart. I posted a chart the other day on Twitter. It was the ratio of the altcoins outside of the top 10. So all the market cap of all the altcoins that are not in the top 10, so below the top 10, divided by the market cap of Bitcoin, right? And that ratio, so basically a measure of all the market caps of all the coins outside top 10 to Bitcoin, so as a proxy. And it's the lowest level it's been since January 2021, which is crazy. It's pretty crazy. So it's kind of like this inverse alt season going on.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, you have a look at because I was doing this earlier, and it's actually I realised it's actually been a while since I sort of properly took a look at some of the sort of past page one of CoinGecko. But you look through this, and obviously we all check the prices every morning, and I always check what's trending and what the top gainers are and stuff like that. But actually, if you kind of scroll through this, so many of these are actually stable coins. For one thing, so much of what is now, the top 100 or wrapped versions of Bitcoin and Ethereum, you've got a lot of exchange tokens and things like that. But then, you scroll across and you go down to page 2, and suddenly you start finding all these projects. You start seeing all these projects there. You're like, damn, once upon a time, that was huge. Look what's happened to WIF. I mean, that not so long ago, that was top 100. And then you've got these recent launches like Story Protocol. I mean, I still haven't come across Berachain yet. I know it's down there somewhere.
We were talking about that earlier, and that was Berachain. I mean, last year, even less than a year ago, the amount of excitement around Berachain and its launch. I remember they also raised their most recent private round before going to TGE was above $1 billion, I think, and it's now FTV is lower than $1 billion, and it's crazy because the amount of hype going into this, and that's just Berachain 1 L1. You've got you've got so many others that have come out. You talked about Story. There's Nillion, there's a movement, there's a number of many of these L1s that have come out with these high FTV, low float kind of tokens, but also just not that. Huh?
Do you remember Eigenlayer? I mean, that was a huge launch. There was so much excitement around that, and we were hearing stories around the sort of pre-sales of that, weren't we? The raises that they were going through. It was crazy.
The SAFTs were trading. The SAFTs prior to anything, we're trading at like 400x the seed round or some stuff like that, something crazy. And yeah, I mean, look, I guess the question is like, and maybe we can kick this to you, Lewis. Is like, what's your view on altcoin season? Because there's many views out there, and I'm keen to get your perspective, either from a technical or fundamental point.
Oh, it's just getting started. It's just getting started, bro.
Where is it? Is it in the room with us right now?
Yeah. Okay. There's a lot of things to talk about when it comes to altcoin season. I'm thinking that at this point, most people have probably come to the conclusion that there's never going to be an altcoin season the same way how there was in 2021, the same way how there was in 2017. Like, it's never going to happen like that again, because back then in 2021, we had literally every single thing that could possibly happen in the world from a macroeconomic standpoint coming together to inject the most liquidity in the system that's ever in all of history been injected, right? So it's like you couldn't come up with a better reason for having the markets just go absolutely ballistic back in 2020 and 2021. Okay, and then in 2017 there were like 50 tokens. Okay, maybe a little bit more than 50. There's maybe a couple thousand, but there were so few tokens that it honestly didn't matter what you put your money into. You threw a dart at the wall and you're going to make money. You're going to do a 10x, so it was so easy back then. And then you also had, you were basically given free money if you held like ETH, and then it was forked over to ETH Classic, and then you got ETH Classic for free, and now it's thousands of dollars, and BTC and BCA. So there was, that was the nice times. Those were the nice times. Now it's hard. And so you have to be very, very, very selective in what you're buying. You can't just throw your money into anything. Like you were just talking about when you were going through all of those different coins, you saw Story and IP, you saw Eigenlayer, you saw all these things that had such big hype around them, and yet they just crashed and failed, right? Berachain is the same way, right? So you have to come at it with this lens now that is flipped from, oh, I could buy anything and everything's going to go up, to I need to be very, very careful because everything is probably going to go down, and I'm probably going to lose if I get into, you know, most coins, because now there's millions and millions of crypto tokens, and, you know, tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands being made every single day. So yeah, you got to be careful with it. But good news is that the Bitcoin dominance chart is coming up to a really, really critical level where it does have a decent chance of reversing from. And when the Bitcoin dominance chart goes down, typically altcoins go up. And the same can be said for just like the altcoin dominance chart. So the altcoin dominance chart is coming into a really, really key level, really, really key support. So when the altcoin dominance hits that support, it should go up, and a lot of alts should, you know, go up with it as well. So if you know what coins to get into and you follow the narratives and you could think 1, 2, 3 steps ahead, then that's how you're going to make it. So, for example, there are these different narratives. So you could say, all right, I want to get into the real world asset narratives because I think real world assets are going to pop off in, you know, half a year or 1 year or 2 years because of these bills that are coming up. So you're going to go into those. Or you could say, oh, AI is super, super hot. It's the mind share of everyone in the freaking world. So what's cool with AI? Well, the newest things are AI agents, and AI agents are being built out, not just in crypto, but in the real world itself. So that's taking up a lot of mind share. So let me see, are there any coins or businesses in crypto that match with that narrative that are actually legit that I could get into? And I think just doing it that way, have that type of mindset around things, will yield you the best results, or at least give you the best chances of actually making it really big in crypto.
Interesting. So you think, I'm just to pull up the Bitcoin dominance chart here. So you think that this is likely to reverse at some point?
Yeah, just a little bit above the previous high. So it's I'll show you what to do. So if you go to the weekly time frame, okay,
Yep.
and then take the Fibonacci from the very, very top back in December of 2020.
Fibonacci levels.
Yeah, Fibonacci retracement. So it's on the left-hand side. It's not an indicator over there.
Oh, that's all right. Yeah, sorry, of
Yeah,
course.
that one. Fib retracement right there. And then from the top of 2020, where it has the peak right there. Yeah, right where you were.
The 2020, so 2020 peak, you 2020 peak, yeah, there we
right
go.
there. Okay, and bring it down to the lows, you know, where all the lows were. Yeah, right around there. And then look at where I'll tell you what to do first. First, look at where the 382 is and what happened at the 382. Look to the right. Boom. You could see you could see it dropped a little bit. Then look at the 618, and it's like, what happened where the 618 is? That's where the top in November came. I mean, that's where when everything went crazy in November and everything went up, all the cryptos went up, and that's when Bitcoin dominance went down. So now we have the 786 coming up, and that's the next fib level, basically. That's the next major fib. And we already had the 382, the price react from the 382. We had the price react from the 61.8 golden ratio. So now I'm thinking, okay, the price is probably going to react from the 78.6, and the Bitcoin dominance is going to go down, and altcoins could have a little bit of a rally. And I'm not necessarily expecting that to be like where everything goes absolutely crazy and things go up like thousands of percentages. I think that that's probably going to happen, you know, at the top, the same place where you first drew the fib, you know, at the top right there. But it is a really, really key level. And I love the Fibonacci. Fibonacci is my favorite indicator of all time. I use it nonstop because it's the only indicator that wasn't created by chartists and technical analysts and people in the markets. The Fibonacci is everywhere in the universe. It's in the stars. It's in the galaxy. It's in your DNA. And so that is literally just being applied to the charts as opposed to the RSI or the MACD or the moving averages or other things that were created by chartists and by technical analysts and by, scientists to try to help them figure out how to read the charts better. The Fibonacci is a universal principle that was just literally overlaid on top of the charts. And there's like a magnet for prices to go towards those levels, especially the 61.8 golden ratio, which I highly recommend everyone to, you're on YouTube right now, look up golden ratio Fibonacci and just watch as many videos as you can. It will blow your mind. And I spent like 2 days down that rabbit hole going through like tens of hours of videos on just the Fibonacci. And so, yeah, I do expect something to happen at the 78.6.
Yeah, really interesting. It's true. Even shells, like everything, like shells in nature, all follows a Fibonacci sequence, mathematical accuracy. So okay. So let's assume that your analysis is correct around Bitcoin dominance beginning to fall. But as we've established, it's not going to be like an altcoin season of 2021, as you've said.
Yeah.
What sort of alts are you looking into? Are you looking at it from a perspective of fundamental or more technical levels, and are there particular narratives you're interested in? Just like run us through your toolbox of trying to find the alts with the most potential if we are to have this retracement in Bitcoin dominance.
Okay, so my strategy, what I do is I actually built out a custom algorithm that scans the biggest gainers against USD and against Bitcoin, and it spits that out to me every single day. And then at the end of the week, I have it count up how many times each coin that was listed was actually mentioned. And so at the end of every week, I have a list of 5 coins that have the biggest gains against Bitcoin and the biggest gains against USD. And so I like to look at those because object in motion tries to remain in motion, right? It's like when the trend is your friend until it's not, right? The trend is usually your friend though. And so if things are going up, a coin off the top of my head is Hype. That one is extremely good. So if there's a big retracement on Hype, I want to be getting into that. Another one that comes to mind is Fartcoin. Like that was the biggest gainer. It's been one of the biggest gainers ever, right? So there's a big retracement on that. I want to be getting into that. And then a few other ones. And then another thing that I do is I look at where the charts are, not only against USD, but also against Bitcoin. And so right now I'm loading up on Dogecoin, because if you go to the Dogecoin against Bitcoin chart and you take a look at where that is coming into a very, very key support that's held the support multiple times. And just a little bit of alpha on the Dogecoin against Bitcoin charts. Typically, it goes below the support, freaks everybody out, and then it jumps up. And after everyone, gets stopped out or leaves their trades, exits their trades. So it's coming into that area where it's at the support right now. But I think it's probably going to go a little bit below it just to get everyone stopped out of their trades and then really, really zoom up pretty much, a good chunk, a decent amount. So that's a coin I'm looking at, and just coins that are around these areas, on both the USD and the Bitcoin chart. If you could have both of them at supports, your high probability, like the probability of them reversing it gets way, way, way higher. So that's another thing that I like to look at.
Yeah, I've pulled up the chart here, the Doge versus BTC chart. If you guys can see, very interesting the point you make there around it being a historical support that we had back in 2024. This is back on the weekly, but okay, there. So there's been 2 times: 2024, early 2024, late 2024. So yeah, very interesting. So and do you when you're doing the trades, do you just go long? Do you do a strategy of a pairs trade in the sense that you long the alt and then short BTC or something like that, from the perspective of because you usually trade looking at in a ratio to another altcoin, to Bitcoin at least when it's Bitcoin?
Yeah, I never do any type of Well, I mean, sometimes I do some hedging and stuff like that. But for the most part, I like to just wait until the coins come into my key levels and areas of interest. And then I'll try to like start, grabbing a little bit while they're in that area. And then I'll just watch it. And maybe every 4 hours or every 12 hours, I'll take a look at the chart. And if I see a formation of the candle happen to be a very, very bullish candle, then I'll have a trade set up that I know I could go into, and I could have my entry and my stop loss and my take profit, and I could put everything in there with exact amounts that I'm comfortable losing, because that's, when you're trading, you always have to sort of be a risk manager and think about how much you could lose if it goes wrong. So I'll typically start, nibbling at it. And then once I see an actual trade setup, like an actual technical trade setup that's within the zone, then I'll go in hard. And that's for trading, like technically trading, right? But then there's also the other aspect of crypto, which is getting into like low market cap gems. And if a coin's under, I don't know, I guess 50 million market cap, I don't even really care about the chart too much, because there's a potential of it, doing a 10x or something, even from 50 million. I'm like, okay, I'm going to buy, now. And especially if it's under, like 20 million or something like that. If I like it fundamentally, that's when I just care about the fundamentals for the most part. But for these bigger coins, like Dogecoin and Hypecoin and Fartcoin and all of these other ones, these big multi-billion-dollar coins, I use technical analysis and do stuff like that.
Oh man,
I must say, I for one would really welcome a pump for Doge, not because I hold any, but because I kind of feel like, if you're talking about people outside of crypto, or maybe who are sort of crypto adjacent but don't really follow it too closely, I think a massive pump for Dogecoin would be the sort of thing that would get a lot of people interested again. A lot of people who've maybe sort of drifted away from the space. As we saw this at the beginning of this year and the end of last year, didn't we? When, sort of older dino coins like XRP and ADA and others went absolutely crazy. And that was very much a sign that people who'd been sidelined, or people who'd been sort of, had kind of drifted away from crypto, were coming back to it. And I think a pump for Doge would probably be just the ticket in that respect, to kind of get people interested again, get their bags pumping again. And hopefully sort of bring them back and get them exploring a bit further.
Yeah. We love it when people, come back.
Yeah. Let's see what goes down. Now, there's a couple of things I wanted to. I'm going to get to a couple of questions that people have asked in a minute, but I just wanted to get your guys your take on this particular story, because this is just crazy. Obviously, this is kind of relevant to it's very relevant, in fact, to what's going on at the moment. But this is the news that this Iranian crypto exchange Nobitex, which I must say, unsurprisingly, I'd never heard of, was hacked by supposedly a group linked to Israel. I think it's actually not 81 million. I think it's more like $90 million worth of crypto has been stolen now. But I was reading this and I thought, wow, obviously there are huge implications for this, especially if you're an Iranian crypto user or whatever. But it really feels like now modern warfare is evolving to the point that there's a whole new front opened up, and crypto seems to be on it. I don't know. I'm interested in what you guys might think about this. I just thought it was really sort of indicative of the world we're living in at the moment. Just a crazy, crazy story.
Yeah, it's fascinating. So in addition to this, I think I was reading that they not only did they just hack it, they hacked it, but then sent it to a vanity address, right? That screwed the IRGC, and the vanity address itself, I think, was a burn address. So
yes,
yeah. So I don't think this was a hacking group. I think this was a bit of a Mossad operation.
You think this? Yeah, I mean, it might well, but yeah, it's
to be smart and not. They also released the source code of this exchange or something, which is kind of crazy.
Yeah, there's this good write up of it in Crypto Slate. Let me just add this to the stage. But Yeah, following the breach, the attackers claimed to have sent the stolen crypto to several wallet addresses explicitly designed to destroy the funds. And yeah, as you say, these were vanity addresses that said rude things about the IRGC, which is kind of wild as well.
It's good for us, man. Less coins in circulation. You know, their loss is our gain. Right.
Yes, it was.
Do your audits. Do your audits. The IRGC got to up their game on their audits, man.
Absolutely. No, it's crazy, isn't it? Like modern warfare is evolving, and it's really wild. And it's interesting to see comments here from SN. As I said earlier, many people in Iran have started to use crypto as currency due to bank shutdown, even for a loaf of bread. So, yeah, not only is crypto being sort of on the front line, but it's kind of proving its worth, I think.
Yeah, indeed. And I think that there was news last year that the Iranian government or merchants had used crypto for transfers and trading. I think there was potentially oil trade settled in crypto. And there was also big in mining. I think Iranian government got involved in mining, and there was some mining operations within Iran. And it just goes to show that, it's in an age of geopolitical censoring of, when banks can basically shut down accounts, even a central bank. Remember what happened to the Russian central bank, reserves at other central banks, even gold. I mean, there was a story 2-3 years ago that Nicolas Maduro had gold stored at London's vaults, and those were seized. So in an age like this, where you have a censorship of financial freedom at a nation state level, they will, move towards crypto as a freely permissionless currency, and the people as well, indeed, because Iran has had a lot of inflation. So yeah, hopefully there weren't too many civilians who's had funds lost in this hack, but probably are collateral damage in that sense.
Yeah. It's I guess as crypto becomes more and more embedded as part of the system, and more of a useful tool both to individuals and to states, then yeah, it's going to be more and more in the firing line as well. A really fascinating story. Now I want to ask you guys. Altcoin Tibet has asked a great question here. It's aimed at me, but I want to get your thoughts on it as well. $1,000. Would you buy Coin, as in Coinbase stock, or CRCL, as in Circle stock? Obviously, Coinbase went public back in 2021. That was kind of one of the big peaks of that cycle. And Circle, as we mentioned earlier, went public last week? It already feels like a long time ago, or maybe the beginning of this week, and also went crazy. So, Lewis, what would you, if you had to buy one of those stocks with $1,000, which would you go for?
I feel like Circle has more upside.
Okay.
But
really?
Because there's no, I mean, Coin has all of those buyers from above, like 300 where it is right now. And because it went all the way up to like 350 or 347 or something like that. Honestly, I think both are really good given what's happening. So it's too tough of a pick, to be honest. I'd probably just split it, call it a day.
500 on each. Nick, what about you?
So I think important to note that the Coinbase Circle revenue share agreement means that 50% of Circle's top line interest revenue goes to Coinbase, right? So half of Circle's revenue is going to Coinbase, and therefore it's kind of like the multiples that Circle is trading on from a fundamental perspective. Given that half of their revenue is going to Coinbase, it seems overvalued relative to Coinbase, because Coinbase has an entire different business beyond that, just that on the exchange side. So that's one thing. Also, the major risk to Circle is Coinbase distribution. And there's nothing necessarily stopping Coinbase from saying, actually, you know what, we actually want this whole pie for ourselves. And we want to launch our own separate stable coin and take all the revenue from that. We've got the distribution. That's a major key, a tail risk for Circle. But I think that that's the longer term fundamental view I have between the two. And now that's why I'd bet on Coinbase. However, in the short term, you know the saying that markets can remain irrational longer than you can remain solvent. And it's retail is right now very excited about Circle. It's the new kid on the block. It's the only way you can really make a pure play on an stablecoin issuer. There's no Tether equity on the public market yet, unfortunately. So as a result, it could still rally and it could still remain fundamentally mispriced relative to Coinbase. But I mean, if I was to go long term, a year, I'd bet on Coin.
Yeah. I guess longer term, probably Coin.
Yeah. I have to say, I'd be tempted to go for Coin as well. I think Circle certainly seems really frothy at the moment, and as you say, Nick, I think for most people that's the only real way they can see to bet on the stablecoin Meta. But it was because we've just done a video about Circle and its stock, and I mean, as we kind of hinted, as we talked about sort of at the top of this stream, this stablecoin legislation coming through is going to really open the floodgates, I think, to way more stablecoins. And big banks, asset managers, you've already got companies like PayPal doing it as well. I mean, we could soon find ourselves in a world where kind of literally every big company has its own stablecoin, and is using that to efficiently move dollars around the world or whatever it else, just to sort of build up its own particular ecosystem. So it's very exciting, but you do sort of wonder, it's like, is Circle going to be able to maintain this position as the most regulated and you'd say the most trusted? I mean, Tether's track record is great, but Circle has that kind of sort of more veneer of respectability, doesn't it? Because of its associations with Coinbase, because of the fact that BlackRock custodies its reserves, and of course the fact that it's now a public company.
Indeed.
Yeah. So I hope that answers your question, altcoin to bet. Personally, it would be Coin for me. But and of course, we're going to see a fair few other crypto companies probably go public this cycle. Kraken, I think, is preparing to IPO. There's talk about Ripple IPOing. So there's
Gemini.
a lot of
Gemini.
What was that?
Gemini,
yeah. Falcon X, the prime broker, I think maybe considering moves in that direction as well.
There's
and again,
so many doing the SPAC thing of these companies that are going through SPAC just for the corporate treasury ones. So many of them. What about Tron?
Tron, yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah. I don't think many people saw that coming, but I guess there, if you like, is the use case for Trump coin. If you want your company to go public, just buy up a load of Trump, and those doors will swing open for you.
All SEC investigations dead, and you could go from being under investigation by the SEC to literally listing on the New York Stock Exchange.
Yeah.
Talk about a crypto journey, man.
So Lewis, Nick, I don't know if either of you guys have been working, got side hustles going on, but if you're thinking of going public, that's how you do it. If you want to IPO in the States, just buy up a load of Trump coin.
Perfect.
Great. Okay, I'm just looking through the questions now, seeing some of the people's other comments. Don't worry, we didn't kill Ben. Ben will be back, but Ben is taking some well-earned holiday, I believe. And what was the other question? What was the other comment that I wanted to flag up as well? Oh yes, we're not talking about your altcoins, everyone. So don't you worry about that. That's very, very important to know. Sean is asking, can alts go lower? Worst alt season ever? I mean, do you think we've got lower to go from here, guys?
I mean, yeah, Lewis said has the perspective on the Bitcoin dominance one, so that inevitably means altcoins will perform. I guess I'll look at it from the fundamental perspective. I think that we need liquidity, additional liquidity from as the Fed and generally global liquidity to come in before alts really start getting a bid. And as I mentioned at the top of the stream, the Fed cuts have been delayed for some time now. So, and it's just also the alts are running against Bitcoin. So although alts could perform, it's kind of like I'm viewing it from the perspective of Bitcoin. But I do think that some alts will definitely perform well still. And Lewis mentioned Hyperliquid. Hyperliquid's been a top performer. There's many others that seem to be catching bids now because of the SEC, positive SEC regulations, and we're doing a video on this, I believe, soon. So there's many of these old OG DeFi coins which could do well. But as Lewis pointed out, you can't just go in there and bid all altcoins in one basket and expect it all to perform. You need to be very selective, which is exactly why we got the Coin Bureau Club, to bring forward these hot, hidden gems.
Absolutely. And Stephen Sargent has a PSA for us. Hey folks, heads up, I'm almost done. My head is so screwed over, I got to sell my bags. Yep, means everything I own and some other shite coins going to pump 10x. Get ready, starts tomorrow. Stephen, really appreciate the heads up, man. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you. Good to know. Someone else was commenting, Nick, the market is only going to go up when the light behind you goes green. So do you have any indication on when that might be? Oh, there we are.
That manifested. I manifested it, man. Just like we're on the same wavelength. God, the moment you mentioned green, I was like, okay, I'm thinking green. Mind over matter. We're on our way to a new all-time high now. It's all good. It's all good. Fantastic. Well, we've been going for an hour, so I'd better let you guys go. But thank you everyone for joining. But before we go, we've got a very important Coin Bureau related announcement to make. So Lewis, it's been fantastic having you on the stream with us today. Thank you for sharing all those insights. I'm very happy to say to people that you'll be seeing a lot more of Lewis in the very near future, because he has agreed to join us here at Team Coin Bureau. So we are going to be getting the benefit of his insights here on More Coin Bureau, on Coin Bureau Trading, and Coin Bureau's main channel, I think in the not too distant future. So Lewis, it's really great to have you joining the team, and we're really looking forward to you starting.
Yeah, I am super, super excited about it, and love to give just like level-headed, no nonsense type of analysis. And hopefully, I've done pretty okay. So hopefully I'll continue that streak and people will, appreciate it.
It's going to be sharing that infinite alpha. And Lewis obviously did, but we didn't mention is he came to visit us here in Dubai for 2 weeks prior to this, where we did a lot more work with him, and and I think that's what informed our decision, of course. So yeah, it's going to be an exciting time. All three of us, the three musketeers of crypto, or something like that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Got from all parts of the world.
Exactly. Yeah.
We're getting a nice mix here. We've got a Brit, a South African, and a Yank now. It's fantastic.
Representative of our audience type. Exactly.
The absolute perfect mix. And as Mickey is also pointing out, Lewis and Gabby. Yes, because Gabby is now hosting on Coin Bureau Trading as well. She has just joined the team too. In fact, I think she's got a stream starting around now.
Right now. So if you guys want to catch the next, jump over to Coin Bureau Trading. I believe Gabby is streaming right now.
Fantastic. Well, we will leave you there. Thank you, everyone, for joining. Thank you, Nick, and thank you, Lewis. And welcome to the team.
Welcome, man. See you soon, man.
Yeah, appreciate it, and definitely looking forward to it. Big things.
Cheers, guys.
Absolutely. Take care, guys. See you all very soon.